Here we are at the final leg of my mid-season prospect rankings, as we're going to be covering the edge rushers right now, and then later on today you will see the running backs. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse, especially with this edge class, because this edge class is real good. I feel like I could have done a top 15. But we're going to do a top 10, so let's go ahead and get into it, as we're going to go over Byron Young out of Tennessee, because this guy has such an interesting story right now. Just in terms of, I don't know if this cat played any or even a little high school ball. I couldn't find his recruit status on 24/7, but he showed up to tryouts at community college, made the team at Georgia Military College, played there from 2018 to 2019. Then he chose to transfer to Tennessee. He was a 3-star JUCO recruit, opted out of the 2020 season because of the Rona, but still practiced with the team. 2021, he played in 11 games where he made 8 starts, tied for the team in sacks. And he missed the final 2 games while waiting, or he missed the final 2, or the first 2 games this season. There we go. Basically he was at the time ineligible to play, and I think a lot of that had to do with just with his eligibility in terms of being a 5th-year player with the Rona, stuff like that. Regardless, this cat has been uber productive. He's like, we talk about Hendon Hooker making a name for himself. Byron Young, watch out for this cat. This dude is savage as a pass rusher. Like, he shows great bend plus explosiveness. He plays with strong and violent hands, and it's led to a lot of success in the SEC. Going back to last year, 32 pressures, 7 sacks. This year, he's going to surpass that total. It's insane. He combines all that with plus length. You see just how dangerous as a pass rusher as he is, because dude just blows up opposing offensive tackles. He does a great job of moving on run plays and showing good lateral ability. He has a great motor, plays well out in space. Really, the things that are working against him is, while his hands are violent, you could tell, man, this guy hasn't been playing like significant college ball or even significant football for very long. Like, overall, his hand usage could be better. His punches could be a bit more accurate. His approach to pass rushing could use a lot of work. And for the most part, he's just very unpolished at this current moment. He's winning with just pure upside. There are times he struggles to disengage consistently versus the run and maintaining leverage. Again, all these things that just needs to be ironed out, just some wrinkles. In terms of upside, it's there for him. He is going to be one of the older prospects, but it's not a case like with Hendon Hooker where we're looking at his physical tools and being like, yeah, for the most part, those won't get better. Like with Byron Young, like they're there. Like you look at Hendon Hooker, like with his arm, it's not an elite arm, and it's not overall an accurate arm either. But with Young, man, he's got the length. He's got good bend. He's got good explosiveness. Like, physical tools are pretty up there when it comes to Young. And, like, if anything, you're looking at a high-end, like, rotation player at the next level. Got him currently as a top 50 prospect. Like I said, man, this class is exceptionally talented. And we got Andre Carter at number 9 on this list. As you can see, the stats aren't nearly as up this year for him. And a lot of that is not teams figuring him out, but just the sheer immense of double teams he is facing. Teams come in better prepared for him, knowing that Army doesn't have much in terms of horses on that defensive line. Now, he opted to join the Army after high school, saw no action his freshman season. Then he was a rotation player his sophomore season, but he blew up in 2021 where he had that 15-sack season, single-season record for Army. Not on that same trajectory, but like a lot of that, it needs context that he is dealing with a lot more double teams. And this guy is a bit exceptionally raw for the position, and can't wait to see him get into an NFL weight room because he is a bit lanky. For being 6'7", 265, probably could add a bit more mass and a bit more explosiveness. Because that's the thing, man. Like, this guy's long, lanky. He covers a lot of ground quick, but that's because he's a unit. I don't think it's overall explosiveness with him. But again, that's something he could train his body at the next level to be better at. Just this dude has, again, nice combination of athleticism, length, size, big motor, high effort player, and just does a great job like keeping his feet moving when engaging, shows good manipulation when he catches blockers on their heels, putting them on skates. Typically coming from a wide 9, so ideally that's probably where he goes in the NFL. That's the role you want him to play. But another guy that's exceptionally raw in some regards in terms of needs to work on the power aspect of his game. Doesn't really have much of a pass rush plan. He's just kind of like balls to the wall, just go, send it. But man, I don't know how, like, with how good this edge class is in the late first round, early second, I don't know if he goes in the first, but I know a team's going to be willing to take a shot on this guy early in day 2. And then number 8, we have Jared Verse, my guy. I called my shot before the season, and it feels so good to hit that shot, like straight up, man. Like I was a big fan of Verse coming out of the spring training game for Florida State. He's a former Albany prospect. He was unranked out of the 2020 class, played 2 years at Albany, and it ended up being a highly sought out JUCO transfer. Ended up going to Florida, and he's just exploded on the scene. He's been slowed by a knee injury as of late that happened in the Louisville game. But this dude is an athlete, dude. Has some of the best bull rushes in this class, turns speed to power so quickly, and he combines that with great length, great get-off. He was darn near unstoppable in the FCS, and he was unstoppable to start the season. Just ask LSU's tackles, man. They didn't know what to do, man. They were lost. This is a guy that's strong enough to fight through double teams, great full-body strength, hardly ever out-muscled, he is solid muscle. Like, this dude's been putting on weight since his Albany days. He put on 25 pounds before he showed up here in Tallahassee. It's going to be easy to point to, like, oh, well, look at his level of competition considering he came from Albany, but he did this against the SEC team. He's been doing this in the ACC. Like, I'm not worried about the competition. I'm really not. He's managed to turn that weight adage into muscle. Like, oh man, I'm loving it. He does look more of a linear player than a lateral player, so maybe a guy that won't be that great against the run, but a guy that can blow it up in the backfield. Huge fan of Verse. On to the next. We got Nolan Smith, man. I wasn't the biggest fan of Nolan Smith coming into this class, admittedly, but I'm feeling a bit better about him. Still not as high as most people are, but I do see everyone could attest, like, former 5-star recruit. This guy's got the explosiveness, he's got the length. The thing is with him, you do worry about the size because, like, you're coming in very undersized. He, over the past 4 seasons, has been unable to add weight there at Georgia, so that is a concern, but he plays the run so well. It's the only thing for me that kind of keeps him in this top 50 conversation, that he's so good against the run that is something I feel like he can overcome at the next level. But I mean, I think you're firmly looking at a guy that has to be this stand-up pass rusher in the NFL, and I mean, you love what he can do as a run defender, closes in on ball carriers, love the pursuit. He's even shown to drop back into coverage a little bit, as they will drop him back into like hook or curl zones, and a dude that keeps his feet moving through contact. I love that. I love when guys keep their feet moving on initial contact, but he does need to add strength to the frame. There are times he does struggle to break free once engaged by blockers that are much bigger than him. But for all intents and purposes, man, is a cat that is playing better football. The win rate's up this year. Not elite, but it's up. You love to see it. Nolan Smith, I'm turning the corner, I guess, to a degree when it comes to Nolan Smith. Now, let's get to the other guy that's a bit small here, BJ Ojulari, but I feel better about that way because he honestly kind of is Yannick Ngakoue. That's kind of probably going to be his comp when we get to the end of this process when I start throwing comps out. But 6'3", 244, having a banger year, 31 sacks, 31 pressures, 7 sacks. He is the younger brother of Azeez Ojulari, who was a second-round pick by the New York Giants. And this cat's just been very good since his freshman year. Since he stepped foot on campus there in Death Valley, just has some rare get off and bend, whether it's from a 2-point or 3-point stance. His combination of explosiveness and length is just deadly. He turns speed to power pretty darn well. I love how often he works with leverage. I love that he is able to combo out moves. His hands stay active, and he won't keep himself locked in with a blocker for too long. Nasty spin move. Might be the nastiest in this edge class, because I mean, Tully Toi Peloto from USC might have the nastiest spin move on the defensive line in general. But this dude, he's persistent, plays to the whistle. I love that. Again, bit undersized. You get under that 250, and people kind of look at you a little funny. But when you're hovering around this 245 range, then you start to look at guys who made it in the league, how they made it, and he has those same traits, those same tools. As a run defender, he does tend to take bad angles, typically overshoots the spot, and will outrun ball carriers. But I love what he can do as a pass rusher. Another guy I got listed at top 15. Let's get into these first rounders, starting with FELIX ANUDIKE-UZOMAH. Hell of a name, by the way. Former 3-star recruit from the 2020 class. Didn't play much his freshman season, but then he really picked it up for Kansas. Started every game in 2021, was a first team all Big 12. And I just love this dude. Like, he challenges with great length, very powerful upper body, good first step, gets very nice leverage, can walk guys back into the laps of quarterbacks. His stack and shed, he does that with relative ease. He can take double teams, no problem. He does a nice job of dipping on interior moves and forcing plays out of the pocket towards the sideline. You love to see that. And I mean, dude, I've seen this guy run down screen plays. He's a stout run defender, and it's just been getting better as he's gone on as a starter. As you can see, 26 pressures this season. And I love to see that, because one of my biggest criticisms coming into this season was 9 of his 13 sacks in 2021 didn't come against the best offensive lines. It came against 2 teams, being TCU and Southern Illinois. Still brought the pressure in every game, but as a finisher, he wasn't quite as polished. This year, I feel like that's there. Sometimes he is eager to rush the passer, and he'll overrun rushing plays. But again, as a pass rusher, dude, I just absolutely love this cat. And then Isaiah Foskey, man, I think he's my guy, man. And I didn't love him last year as a prospect, knowing that there was areas he needed to develop. And while there's still a work in progress, they're all much better. The production's been a lot better this season. Kind of a slow start to the season, where he had that nice back and forth with Paris Johnson in week 1, where ultimately Paris Johnson did get the better of him. But he really became the switch turned against Marshall, and he's been high octane ever since. Like, there's just heaps of potential on this cat, like from length, size, plays well against the run, man. I like his get off. He plays a violent style. His hands can be just overwhelming. He turns the speed to power very well. Like, the floor on this guy is exceptionally high. It really is. Now, There are times where he relies too much on his length and his upper body strength, and he's still refining that technique. He is a guy when going up against, I would say blockers. He kind of goes for like a stack and shed or a push pull or a push pull move, and he just brings the guys too inside, and they're able to get their hands under his pads. Definitely need to improve in that aspect. I want to see more counters from this cat. There are times where he just gets moved out of the way on running plays where he just kind of follows the momentum instead of being a disruptor in the run game. But I mean, just look at it. This is a cat that can do it on the special teams as well. 2 blocked punts against UNLV. You love to see it. I'm a big fan of Foskey. And then another guy I wasn't high coming into the year was Tyree Wilson. And ultimately it comes down to, you can't deny that this guy moves exceptionally well for someone who's 275. He's got length. He's basically like a, not even necessarily a value brand, but an off-brand version of Trevon Wilson. Because I wouldn't say the get-off is necessarily elite where it was for Walker. Did I say Wilson? Trevon Walker. There we go. I'm blending them together. I'm just combining them into one person. And there are times where he is a bit late off the snap. And I always go back to that Liberty Bowl game where everyone's like, look, he had like 6 pressures, 2 sacks. But then he was given a goose egg whenever he had to face off against Charles Cross. But I love that the production remains the same with him. He's on to a career year this year, and you can't deny that type of production will translate in the NFL. This is a guy with a very versatile skill set, might work at best at being a gap penetrator, maybe a 3-4 end in the NFL, because he works with good leverage. He has a strong anchor. So a cat that I think is going to test out well. You can't deny the length, the movement skills. This is like DeMarvin Leal if he actually had the production behind his name, you know? So I've completely turned the corner with Wilson, and he's put up much better matchups this year against guys I would consider NFL caliber, or at least NFL draftable talent. So there we go, Wilson. Took us half a season, but I'm here. And then get into my top 10 guys. Myles Murphy. This is a my guy. Former 5-star recruit from the 2020 class. Has been starting since his freshman season. This dude's just a physical specimen. A man of his size just isn't supposed to have get off like this, and he just bursts off the line of scrimmage. His ability to bend the edge at 275 is just rare. There's a ton of strength throughout this dude's frame. He delivers massive pop on contact. It's like throwing a brick through a windshield. It's just a great analogy. I can't help it. I make it a lot, but it's just a good analogy. It's like the Kool-Aid man busting through the wall. Oh, yeah. And I know he's doing it with a lot of talent around him, but more so, I think he is the creation of a lot of production around him. As you see guys like Tyler Davis, KJ Henry having career years currently. And a lot of that is on the back, I would say, of Myles Murphy, another guy who got off to a slow start this season, but has kind of found his groove. I love the movement skills. He's shown nimble feet on stunts. He's shown a plethora of different pass rush moves. While, yes, they can be a bit more polished, but I like that he's deploying those. And you could say, yeah, he's still a bit raw in some of his technique and doesn't have the biggest complete toolbox of pass rush moves, but he ain't far away. He needs polish, but dude, with the pure upside of this cat, man, there was a reason why, honestly, like a lot of people were, or at least me and a guy like Hail Mary Sports, Alex, were like, yo, this is like the yin to the yang that is Will Anderson, you know, because they offer a lot, they get things done in a lot of different ways. But I'm still in on Myles Murphy. Huge fan. Now let's talk about Will Anderson, who everyone and their mom knew would be first on this list. Former 4-star recruit at the 2020 class. And he's just been a monster for Alabama since stepping up on the field. Tuscaloosa are blessed with their ability to recruit guys like this. Are they? I mean, I feel like feel like it's just too easy for Alabama to recruit talent. But for his size, 6'4", 243, people try to pigeonhole him into, he looks like he's a guy that's going to have to be a stand-up pass rusher. I think he can get it done with his hand in the dirt because he's stupid strong. He's stupid sturdy. He's able to pinball between blockers, and it doesn't allow blockers to get into that strike zone. He is relentless. He will always will find a way to the quarterback. Even if it takes him like, oh man, he's been quiet. He was quiet in that first quarter, and then okay, here we are. There's a reason why he's up there in pressures. Like, I think he might be the leader on the season in pressures currently with 37. But again, this dude's relentless. He can manhandle guys much larger than him. His hands, they just deliver deafening blows, and he's always looking to control the rep. Again, there's people that are gonna kind of about the frame and the bulk. I think those people are few and far between. This guy's a top 5 prospect. There's a reason why people are talking about, well, my team could take a quarterback, but Will Anderson's kind of freaking nuts. So, yeah, this cat's that good. He's stupid strong. And while I don't think necessarily the get off is like elite, it's still pretty freaking darn good. Will Anderson, you're number 1. You're going to be a top 5, top 3 prospect. Like, that team, after the top 2 quarterbacks are off the board, that team at 3 is really going to have to talk themselves out of taking a guy like Will Anderson. They're really going to have to. But that's it for the video. Let me know who are some guys you think are real good and should have made the list. Like I said, all the guys listed here have top 50 grades. And, I mean, a guy like Will McDonald hovering right on the outside of that. Derek Hall's put up a great year. There's Zach Harrison, who looks like he's finally, for the most part, maybe putting it all together, quite possibly. There's also a guy from Northwestern a lot of people are talking about, Aditamiwa Adibari, who's having a really good year, but I think he's probably more of this like 3rd round guy right now. So a lot of prospects that are starting to get talked about. Xavier Thomas just returned, and he's put out banger performances. So let me know in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.